Hey, welcome back for Dimensions. Before you start watching this lecture, please make sure that you've taken some time to watch our duplicating views lecture to get this view ready for you. As you can see, I have a main level, and then I also have my main level with dimensions. So two separate views. And the reason why I like to create a separate view for the dimensioning plan is that your dimensions get really messy with all of the furniture and notes and room tags and callouts. And so on your dimension plan, we will still have room labels, but we won't have any furniture or notes or anything else. I am also keeping my sections because for the people building your project, sections are probably helpful. But other than that, outside of room tags and any sort of like built-in element, I'm going to go ahead and just keep it to dimensions. Now in this view, something that helps me is you can see that as I'm getting started, my view, my detail level is set to fine. And I'm actually going to change that to coarse because that helps me dimension because I just have two spots to pick from. Again, if I'm in fine, it's really hard to tell if you're selecting this outside portion of the line or kind of like this inside portion of the line or wall. So again, I like to go coarse, but if you have young, vibrant eyes, it might not even be an issue for you. I just wanted to let you know that that's where I like to start. So when we talk about dimensioning, we are going to be talking about exterior and interior dimensioning. Let me start with exterior dimensioning. So on the exterior dimensioning of our project, we are going to have three main dimension strings. And let me start with that. The first plane that we start with is always basically from your outside to your outside. So the furthest point to the next furthest point. Your next dimension string is called the plane dimension. So every plane that you have, this is a plane, and then this is a plane, those go on the plane dimension string. Now for simple structure like this, not a big deal. There's only two planes or two faces in the whole project. Now the next dimension string has to do with your openings. And for those openings, I have to cheat a little bit because as you guys can remember, there are some windows in here. And what you want to do is go to the center of the window. So center of opening, let me find center of opening, back to my plane. And then here, again, I go center of opening and then back to the end of my plane. And here are some rules now that I have those in. Every dimension string, when it starts from one building side, it has to end on the next. So even if I only had these two windows, don't stop dimensioning. Keep going until you get back to the end. Don't have any incomplete dimension strings, even if it's redundant. That's okay. Now, why on earth are we dimensioning to the center of an opening and not the actual opening size? Well, opening sizes are really tricky, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to an elevation to kind of show you what I mean by that. Let's see. Oh, no, these are my interior elevations. Naima, pay attention. Okay, so for example, I've got this doorway right here, and you know, at first glance, when I look at it, it looks like it's 6 feet wide, which is great. So when we do our exterior dimensionings, remember, dimensions, we're only going to come to the center of this. And the reason why that is that behind this structure that I can see here, when that door frame arrives on site, there could be a whole bunch of structure on every side that is part of this door that is, you know, part of the mounting hardware that will allow us to install it. So even though it looks like the door is 6 feet, when it arrives on site, it could be 6 feet 3 inches, it could be 6 feet 6 inches, you know, it's not always exactly 6 feet. And so knowing that it's not going to be exact, what we always want to do is tell the contractor the center point So if it gets a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, nothing will be off center of where you want it, okay? So we're giving ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. On top of that, all of the dimensions for your windows can be found in a schedule. So if we go to our main level, that's why we call out all of the windows here on the plan. Because even if we were to dimension the windows, we're only getting the width, we're not getting the height. So in order to get all of the information in one place so that we're not duplicating it and contradicting ourselves, we only put the window and door dimensions on the schedule, okay? We don't do it anywhere else. So that's why on our dimensions, we go to the center of opening. Whether it's a window or a door, we're always going center of opening. So again, every exterior wall will have 3 dimension threads: the overall, the face or plane, and then we have our center of opening dimension string. Don't leave any of them incomplete. Start on one side and work your way all the way back to the other. Okay, so those are your exterior dimension strings. Now from the inside, it's going to be a little bit different, and especially depending on who you took your first class with, this could also be a little bit different than what you're used to. So with our interior dimension strings, you have options to do wall faces, or you can do wall center lines. And in this particular case, we actually want to do wall center lines. And the reason why we're going to go to wall center lines is because we are imagining that these are new construction walls, like they've never been built before. I'm going to do these like little exterior wall pop-outs separately since they're not part of the building structure. So first, again, start on one side and go all the way back to the exterior. Now, the reason why I'm going to the center line is because whenever a building is being built, the contractor will snap a red line in the center of the wall, and that's where they build it. It's called the chalk line, a red chalk line. And when you first start to dimension, or when you first start building a structure, you don't have like the drywall, the tile, all of the sheathing that goes on your build. So let's go back to the fine detail. You don't have all of this stuff on the outside. You pretty much only know where that first stud is going to go. So by doing it in the wall center line, it lets them accurately build out on the left or right side, depending on the room that it's in. So we always go wall center line. Same thing with the exterior. You can see that when we go towards the center, it allows them to do drywall on the interior face, and then it accurately lets them do, you know, the air envelope and then whatever sort of exterior sheathing that you have on the exterior face as well. So wall center line to wall center line. Now that's not to say that somewhere on the plan, your client just doesn't want to easily see what's called the overall dimensions. So I'm going to hit tab, which is kind of like our interior finish dimensions. If you want, you can do another dimension plan that shows the overall, like face-to-face dimensions. But again, this is for a contractor to actually build out the space for us. So your interior dimensions always need to stay on the interior. Don't drag them out to the outside. Always keep them on the interior. And then you can decide, once your dimension string goes all the way across, you can see that I missed this wall here. So is it worth adding a whole other dimension string for one wall? Or do you think your contractor can handle a little bit of math? If it's just 1 or 2 walls you're trying to pick up, they can absolutely do that math and kind of break up this room. So I'm going to click on Edit Witness Lines. I'm going to find my wall center line here, and then just kind of click out in the middle of nowhere to let it know that I'm done. So I picked up this wall right here. And then again, a quick scan shows me that I have grabbed almost every wall on the interior face. See how I missed this one right here? I'm actually going to go ahead and add it, Edit Witness Lines, right here, and then click out in the middle of nowhere. Now I truly have all of my lines going horizontally. What I want to do now is do that same thing vertically. So DI for dimension. So I'm always going to start from one side, and then I've got this wall here. I've got this wall. There we go. I'm just trying to find the center line. I've got this wall as well. I've got one more right here, and I can just place that close to the hallway. Now this is a really small, simple project, so it's super easy to do. But let me just tell you that it isn't uncommon for one project to have, you know, anywhere from 3 to 5 dimension strings, like per direction. So it's okay if you have to add more, as long as you actually need it. So again, what we're doing here is we are just dimensioning the walls, and then what you can do is come back and on a separate dimension string, show them where the center of the openings go. Okay, and so that's similar to the outside, but we're doing this separately. We're just showing them the center of the openings. Now this one here, it's technically an exterior one, so I can pick that up on the exterior dimension string, so I'm not going to dimension that on the inside. You could, it wouldn't hurt to have it on both, but again, since it's technically an exterior wall, I'm going to leave that off. And then remember, treat these walls connected to the actual building structure on their own. And then what you would do is you'd come back and then just dimension these walls right here to the end point, so they can see how much additional wall structure that they would need to add for these overhangs. You can add those in separately if you have them in your new project. So that covers interior dimensioning as well as exterior dimensioning. Again, the biggest point I want to make is you don't have any incomplete strings. Whether it's exterior, interior, start from one wall, make sure you carry it all the way over to the end of the wall. And it isn't uncommon to have more than one dimension string, but if you find that your contractor, you know, is having to add more than 2 or 3 dimensions to find the width of one space, do them a solid and just do a separate dimension string for that space. Okay, so that's a quick overview on dimensioning. Again, if you need any clarification or if you have any more questions, please reach out and I'd be happy to share another video. Thanks everyone.